fortunate enough to have a very special guest with us here today, Dr. Ibrahim Ala Din. Dr. Ibrahim Ala Din is a professor and writer. He was educated in England, Canada, and Australia. A well-known sociologist, he has authored about 20 books in a variety of fields, including education, economic development, and cultural diversity. Recently, Dr. Alladin wrote the biography of His Eminence Maulana Abdul Aleem Siddiqui, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, which was entitled as Maulana Abdul Aleem Siddiqui, His Life, Thoughts, and Message. His first novel is titled Blood and Rose. He is currently writing the political biography of Maulana Shah Ahmad Nurani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Dr. Alladin has lectured at several universities across the world as a visiting professor. He has traveled to more than 50 different countries. As a scholar and writer, Professor Alladin is involved in a number of projects, and he is currently an advisor on education and development and an adjunct professor at Cape Breton University, Canada. So without any further delay, I request our honorable guest, Professor Dr. Ibrahim Alladin, to take the mic and start his talk on the subject Research Methods in Social Sciences.
I thank you very much for the introduction, and I also thank you for extending an invitation for me to come to the City of Knowledge for a second time. We essentially talk about there are 5 main social sciences: psychology, sociology, anthropology, political science, economics. And then adding to that, we can also include history, geography, law, development studies. So these essentially constitute what we call social sciences. And social sciences, they have very specific research methods, and there are very specific rules and regulations how to conduct research in these disciplines. If we would look at social sciences, on the one hand, some of the disciplines I just mentioned, then the other side of the spectrum would be what we call natural sciences. And natural sciences would be chemistry, physics, biology, anatomy, medical sciences. So these would be your natural sciences. Therefore, we've got social sciences, we've got natural sciences. And a quick contrast would be, in the social sciences, we are talking primarily about human beings. The subject matter we're talking about, these are based on behavior. We're talking about human beings. We are talking about the subject matter being humans. That's in the social sciences. And therefore, the areas of study would be studying human behavior in relationship to another person. So we can study individuals, but we can also study groups or individuals within a group. So that would be the focus of the social sciences. In the natural science environment, essentially we call it the physical world. So here you could be studying climate, you may be studying why plants grow at a certain rate, what other plants are disappearing. So these are the physical sciences, physical attributes of our environment. So in the social sciences, we've got human societies, human beings, groups, individuals. In the natural science world, it's a physical environment. Once we know our subject matter, then we can determine the method. Then we can talk about the methodology, correct? So we need to know what are we studying. We need to know the subject matter. In the social sciences, if the subject matter is human being or we're talking about human behavior, then we know what the subject matter is. Therefore, we can determine the research methods. But before we talk about specific research methods in the social sciences, I think a fundamental question would be, why research? Why do we conduct research? What is the purpose of research? Do we conduct research because it is a requirement of our doctoral degree? So if you're a doctoral student or you're a master's student, you have to do a research, you have to write a dissertation, so you do research, right? So we need to know what is the purpose of research. Why do we do it? And why there's so much emphasis on research wherever you go, whether it's in the social sciences or whether it's in the physical environment, in the natural world, we talk about research. We've got to do research to prove something. We've got to do research to make sure to justify why we're doing it. So research, therefore, it's very important. And especially in an academic environment, if you're working in an academic institution, whether this be a university or some sort of an academic institution, you will hear the word research almost every 30 seconds. Okay? So when the person is teaching in a classroom, it's very likely the word research will come up. In a conversation, the word research will come up. If you look at the university calendar, you look at records of publication, you look at the criteria used for promotion, research. So you have to be involved in research. You want to get financial assistance, you have to write a research proposal, correct? So research, therefore, is highly emphasized in the academic world, and a university cannot sustain itself. A university cannot function unless it has a credible research reputation. And some professors cannot claim to be good scholars until they have justified that they have conducted credible research or they have published in credible journals or written books based on empirical research, right? So you can see why it is so important to have research. But I think there's another element which is equally important. We don't only do research in an academic environment. You could be a businessman, you could be the CEO of a company, and you want to market certain product, you want to understand consumer behavior, you want to understand why certain commodities are not selling, then again, research is very important. And here on this note, I'm going to tell you a story to show that research is not purely based in the university environment. Young people would probably know, when you buy jeans, there's a brand name called Levi. Have you heard about Levi Jeans? Okay. So a company in America was producing Levi Jeans, men's trousers. Okay? And after a period of time, the company realized the product is not selling, it is going down. Sales have been going down, especially if you look in the 1980s, 90s, sales in North America was going down. So there was a lot of concern at the corporate level to try to understand why sales have been going down. So they tried to get explanation, brought a lot of management experts, tried to look at whether it's management, whether it's pricing, whether it's a fashion. Somehow they couldn't find the right reason. So a lot of research was conducted. Still, they couldn't find the answer why sales was going down. Finally, they brought in a social scientist, a sociologist in the company to try to do some research and find out, well, why sales have been going down. Can you guess the reason why sales have been going down? What would be your guess?
Behavior?
Consumer behavior, yes. Be a little bit more specific. What would be a reason for a company, and we have a gentleman here who is a businessman. So in your business, your product is not selling. And I gave you a clue already. I mentioned the 1980s. So that gives you one indicator. Now, the researcher went to the factory, looked around, and very quickly he found the reason why sales was going down. You see, if you look at the North American population, okay, especially American men, male North Americans, if you look at their size, okay, they're very tall. 5'10" average, 6 feet, a lot of people. So Levi was producing the size of the average American men. What happened in the 80s? In the 1980s, there was a population shift. The demography of North America changed. And you know, one of the reasons why it got changed, do you know about the boat people? You know who were the boat people? Now, in the 1970s and 1980s, there was a large influx of Vietnamese immigrants to North America. They were known as the boat people. And the reason why they were called the boat people is because they were fleeing the war in Vietnam and the neighborhood, taking small boats, sailing and running away. Okay, and most of them landed in North America. Thousands. Okay. Now, if you look at the size of a Vietnamese or the size of an Asian male, average would be 5.5, right? Compare that with the North American 6'2", 3. So Levi was continuously producing, and it so happened they were large size, and these shorter individuals coming from various parts of Asia, well, you know, can't fit. It's too big. You know, just imagine 5'2" trying to buy a pair of jeans, and of course, naturally, won't fit. So they realized that they have to change the product, change the size, and start to produce a smaller size 28, size 30, size 32, instead of going up to size 48. Okay? Change that, and guess what? Within 6 months, sale picked up. Okay? Now, you may say, well, this is a miracle, but actually, no. When you are doing research, one of the things you have to bear in mind is what are you studying, and then you ask yourself a key question. You need to understand the context. What is the context, especially in the social sciences? Okay. Now, social sciences, because we're talking about behavior, now the Levi Jeans is a very good example because we're talking about people. We're talking about size of individuals. We're not talking about behavior here. So when we're looking at people, you're looking at individuals, or you're looking at a collectivity, or if you're looking at a society, we are talking about people. Therefore, you need to see them, right? So social sciences in this aspect is very unique. Therefore, the way you're studying it also is very unique. So you've got to pose yourself a question: is the context? What is the context of your research? Context meaning where, under what circumstances. You have to look at a lot of control criteria: climate, heat, cold, group confusion, crowd, isolation. These are all context. Now, since we are talking about social sciences here, another key point to remember, I'm going to talk about three very, they are not important, but they are, I would say, the main text in social sciences when it comes to research methodology. Now, the first one, those who are in sociology would probably remember, there's a book by Berger and Lachman, The Social Construction of Reality. Have you heard about that? Okay, that's a very, very important book. So if you are studying sociology, you are a student of sociology, and if you haven't read this book, then I would say go and do it. Go and read it right away. Try to get in the library, go on the internet, read it, because that's a must. It's a classical study, especially if you're talking about methodology, you're talking about research methods, and trying to understand how to study behavior. So Berger and Lachman, The Social Construction of Reality, and I'll come back to that in a minute. The second very important source, very important book, again, those who are in psychology, those who are in sociology, those who are in the medical sciences, there's a very, very important book that you should get hold of. It's by Erving Goffman, and the title of the book, Asylums. Have you heard about this book? Again, if you are a student of sociology, if you haven't heard about this book, then you should go and question your professor tomorrow. You cannot be a student of sociology if you don't know Berger and Lachman. You cannot be a student of sociology if you don't know Erving Goffman's Asylums. And the third one is a very important book by Marvin Harris. And the name of the book is Black Like Me. Have you heard about this book? Okay. So, I have given you 3 books that you must, if you are going to do research in any of the social sciences, whether it's psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, political science, history, it does not matter. You've got to have the background, and these books will give you the foundation, the background. It will prepare your mind and your methodology, and it will help you to pick the right method, even if you're doing your sampling, if you're doing your questionnaire, you're designing a particular type of method. These books will give you an idea how to frame your research, how to go about studying a group, how to study human behavior, how to interpret data findings, and more importantly, Berger and Lachman, in their book, The Social Construction of Reality, it's like a storybook. I used it when I was a student in London. That was one of the main textbooks we had to study. And to this day, I find it very useful. So it's very important. Berger and Lachman, in their story, the book is like a story. They're telling stories. And in that story, talking about human behavior, why people behave in certain ways. You remember I talked about context? So in order to understand context, you need to have certain parameters.